The word clutch is thrown around a lot. Whether it's in sports, video games, or any other sort of competition scenario, being clutch is a quality that is non-quantifiable. It's not something that you can really put on paper and measure. It's just something that you have or you don't have. Being clutch is what has helped many Big Brother players go on to win the game, or at the very least, continuing on in the game and making a large impact. Being clutch once is impressive, but understand that not every late game competition win is going to be deemed as clutch. For example, Casey winning the Final Four veto in Big Brother 20 helped her to survive that round and go on to win the game. However, Casey is a professional athlete coming into the competition, winning 4 out of the last 5 vetoes. JC was out of the comp immediately, and Tyler threw it. So basically, it was just a one-on-one battle against Angelo with the loser going home. So yes, Casey winning that veto was indeed impressive and somewhat clutch, but not nearly to the level that we'll be looking at today. I hope that makes sense. You know what else is clutch? My patrons that help me support the channel. Just kidding. I don't have a Patreon, but I do have a join button now. I won't badger you too much to join because that stuff can be incredibly annoying, but if you enjoy the channel and want to support me for the holidays, the option is now available. I'm thinking about doing a shout out at the end of every video, similar to how Peridium does it, maybe a personalized thank you video message if I can figure out how to do that, early access to videos, and potentially a weekly or bi-weekly podcast styled video stream just talking about whatever. This video is releasing about a week after I put the membership option out there, so you should be able to find a more detailed description of each level by clicking the join button and exploring the options. Who knows if anyone is actually interested, but I figured why not throw the idea out there and see if it sticks. If you don't want to spend any money but would still like to support me, subscribing is free and a huge help for me, and I'm always very appreciative of it. And with that, let's get into some clutch honorable mentions. James Ryan had a few clutch veto wins in Big Brother 6, and realistically, he is the number 6 on this list. He'd constantly be targeted and he'd come through and win a veto to save himself. The main reason he's not on this list is because he had help on a couple of his wins, but overall, James is still a very clutch competitor. Speaking of James's, Crazy James had a triple veto comp streak in Big Brother 9, and he was a real fighter that season. Rachel Riley winning her HOHs in Big Brother 12, especially her second win when she was constantly being thrown into the ring and having to take out everyone left and right, was very impressive and very clutch. Frankie Grande had some clutch wins in Big Brother 16, as did Cody. Steve Moses goes home in Big Brother 17 if he doesn't win the Final 4 and Final 3 HOHs, so those were pretty clutch as well. And lastly, Casey winning the second hacker comp likely saved level 6 that week and allowed them to control the game after that point. I'm sure there are other clutch comp wins, but quite frankly, I don't have all day, so let's just get to the big ones.
I am removing Casey from the chopping block.
At the number 5 spot, I have a competition that I'm sure most people never think about, especially when it comes to this player. Jackson Michie won a lot of competitions during Big Brother 21. If you want to get super technical, he won like 11 of them. But perhaps the most overlooked competition win of Jackson's was his veto win in Week 4. To set the stage, Cliff Hogg had just been blindsided and evicted in Week 3, but he instantly won the Battle Back competition to get back into the game, then narrowly bested Jack Matthews in the Week 4 HOH, so what a turnaround there for Cliff. Cliff is on the outs and decides to take a shot at the two giants in the power structure, Jack and Jackson. Uh-oh, looks like one of them is screwed for sure. Except for the fact that Christy, someone who was aligned with Jack and Jackson, had won a nerfed Diamond Power of Veto earlier in the game that when used would upgrade that week's veto into a Diamond Power of Veto, allowing the veto winner to use the veto and then name the replacement nominee as opposed to the HOH. So, in most people's minds, if either of Jackson or Jack won the veto, Christy would use her power in order to nominate Bella, who was getting on her nerves, and then send Bella home, keeping both big guys in the game. However, what Jackson did not realize is that Christy was really only willing to use her power if it meant that Jack would stay. If Jack, Sis, or maybe even Sam had won the veto that week, Jack would have been taken off the block, and Christy was planning on saving her power and allowing Cliff to nominate whoever he wanted to next to Jackson, basically throwing Jackson to the wolves and allowing him to get evicted. So Jackson winning that veto was super clutch whether he knew it or not, as he likely goes home next to Jack in Week 4 if neither of them come off the block, and if Jack had the veto used on him, it's likely that the 6 shooters just accept the loss and keep Christy's power, they likely don't strike strike up a deal with Cliff anymore, and Bella doesn't get nominated, and Jackson gets evicted. A lot of this is speculative, as not much of the pre-jury phase of Big Brother 21 is ever analyzed, but this is just my best guess. If you disagree with my thoughts on how it would play out, then put any of Jackson's other late-game competition wins in place of this one instead, because some of those were pretty clutch too.
I want to go up as a pawn. There's a pretty good chance that I could win this power of veto, and if I do, then I can pull myself off and Christy can activate her power, which allows me to then replace myself with Nick or Bella.
I've nominated you, Jack, and you, Michie.
Leaving Christy panicked.
Michie is banking on me using my power on him. He assumes I'm going to, but I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I don't want to get emotional about it because
Christy, calm down.
Mickey's really making my blood boil and getting under my skin in a way that I can't express.
I'm on the block next to my best friend in the house, Jack, and I can't rely on anybody else. There's no knight in shining armor to save me from this one. My ass is on the line, and I have to win this veto. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Michie, you finished with a score of
2 minutes and 59 seconds! So you play chess and not checkers.
At the number 4 spot, I have a competition that shouldn't have even existed in the first place. It was Janelle's Week 6 Redo-HOH win during Big Brother All-Stars. Basically, all you need to know is that during the prior week, Janelle had won the veto, but at the cost of being ineligible to play in the following week's veto. So the HOH was the only competition that Janelle could play in during week 6. Janelle actually totally flubbed it during the HOH and was eliminated very early on, but luckily for her, technical difficulties started to arise after she was eliminated, so they had everyone redo the competition, and Janelle clutched out and won. What Janelle might not have realized, though, is that if basically anyone else other than Howie and possibly Chilltown won the HOH, Janelle was for sure going to be targeted, and since she couldn't play in the veto, she was very, very likely going to be evicted. Keep in mind that Janelle basically won out after this week all the way up until the final 3, meaning that this one competition win both saved Janelle for the week and allowed her to continue on dominating the competitions for the following 6 rounds, where, might I add, she had many more clutch victories, like the OTEV victory against James, then the veto to send Daniel Reyes home, then the HOH to guarantee her spot in the final 4, and then lastly, of course, her final 4 veto win. That one Redo HOH win saved herself and allowed her to establish her legacy for the rest of time. So yeah, that easily lands on this list. If you're at all interested in seeing what could have happened if that week 6 HOH was never redone, check out my Big Brother What Ifs video where I talk in depth about the potential alternative timelines that arise from Janelle not winning the HOH.
The correct answer is false. I'm sorry, Janelle. You have to step down. Bunky said he was sure that Will could treat spider bites.
I can treat them both, Bunky, don't you worry.
Hey, Josh. Congratulations, Janelle. You're the new head of household.
I won HOH again.
Janelle, you have won the power of veto.
Janelle, you have won the golden power veto once again.
Right, but Janelle, congratulations. You're 8 for 8, and you are the new head of household. Please get the HOH key.
I bet that a lot of people are bitching right now, and they're really upset with me, and they don't want me to be here. But I'm here to crush dreams. What can I say?
Now, my number 2 and my number 3 spots are pretty interchangeable, but number 2 gets the edge due to the impact that their competition wins had on their game, so at the number 3 spot, I have basically every single Frank Eudy win in Big Brother 14. Him winning HOH after being on the block in week 1? Clutch. Him winning the veto when him and Boogie were on the block, with Frank likely being the one to go home? Clutch. Him winning the veto during the double eviction when everyone was wanting him out? Clutch. And lastly, of course, Frank playing in the HOH after the double eviction where he dueled every single house guest one-on-one in a row, beating them all to become HOH after he was going to be, without a doubt, the undisputed target for the week. Although Frank did end up having an advantage by becoming more and more familiar with the game each time he played, he still had to win 6 times in a row, which is not easy. Frank was the competition king at the time, winning over and over again while his back was against the wall. He was simply unevictable, and the level of clutchness in each of his wins made it impossible for me to choose just one, which is why I chose them all. I know it doesn't really remain consistent with my rankings, but who cares?
Congratulations, Frank. You are the new head of household.
Ashley, because you folded, Frank automatically wins the veto.
Woo! Congratulations, Frank. You have won the power of veto.
It's pretty much the entire house against Frank, so I'm feeling pretty good with our odds.
After one turn, you'll be ranked from lowest to highest based on your score. Using those rankings, you will then face off in a series of head-to-head matchups to see who will become the new HOH.
My bad.
Frank, you scored a 5.
My only chance here is to pull off a miracle and beat everybody all the way up from the bottom seed to the top seed. Once I put Dan out of the game, I'm ecstatic. But hey, I still got 5 more to go. Too much pressure on me tonight, yo. Good shot, Frank.
Frank, congratulations. Frank, congratulations.
Frank beats Danielle. Frank's taking out the quack pack like it's duck season. Come on, guys. You gotta win something.
Frank, congratulations.
Somehow, some way, Frank has managed to knock out 3 quack packs and 5 total rounds of this competition. Now he's going head to head against the competition beast in Shane. He's my only hope.
Frank, congratulations. You are the new head of household. Woo!
I just can't help but look at the board, and it says my name over and over again. Frank, 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 Frank. With the deck stacked against me, I bring home the W, and they're all at this point just being like, God, we can't get rid of this guy.
At the number 2 spot, we have Frank's good old teammate Ian Terry in all of his clutch wins in Big Brother 14. The reason that I have Ian above Frank is because even though Frank had a few more clutch comp wins than Ian did, Ian's led to him winning the game. Like Frank, Ian had an impressive comp streak that likely saved his butt in the game. Unlike Frank though, Ian had no idea that he was in trouble if he didn't win. He was clutch without even realizing the full extent of the situation. Funnily enough, we can pick up right where we left off with Frank. After Frank won the Gauntlet-style HOH, Ian won the extra veto that week to secure his safety. Little did he know that, had he not won that veto, Frank very likely would have nominated Ian after Dan's funeral, and at that point, Ian would have been toast. After that close call, Ian won the next HOH, which allowed him to finally get rid of Frank, which on paper doesn't seem like the most clutch, but it set the stage for Ian's endgame. Then right after Frank left, we were at the final 6, and it was double eviction time again. Dan was secretly planning on taking the shot at Ian and evicting him, but Ian came through with an extremely clutch veto win when he needed it most, as he was going home if he didn't win, and he didn't even realize it again. Then finally, at the final 5, Ian won the HOH again. Dan's plan at the final 5 was to get rid of either Ian or Shane, and since Shane ended up winning the veto, had Ian not won the HOH, Ian would have been a goner. So Ian's competition wins were very clutch almost every single time he won something, but he never knew just how important each of these wins were until after the show ended. If Ian lost any of these comps I just talked about, he likely goes home and is $500,000 poorer. So to me, that's more than enough clutchness for him to land at the number 2 spot.
Kids!
What?
City, baby!
He got it.
Ian wins a veto. I'm disappointed in myself. I could have avoided Frank's wrath, but I missed my chance.
Ian, you voted Mike out last week, and then you put me and my other closest ally up on the block, and she went home. You won the veto, so I can't put you up. I gotta do the next best thing and put your closest ally up on the block.
Thank you, Frank.
You got it, Bubba. Congrats, man.
Yes! I win HOH. I'm definitely in the top 6.
And it looks like Ian is seconds away. Congratulations, Ian. You have won the power of veto. Will the nominations change? I'm pretty sure they will. And who will be the second house guest to be evicted tonight?
I did it.
Ian, congratulations. You're the new HOH, buddy.
This is my face to Ian winning.
Now, before we get to the number 1 spot, I do have one more honorable mention, and it's for Big Brother Canada. So, spoiler alert for about the next minute and a half. Although I'm not including Big Brother Canada, I would love to give a bit of a shout out to basically every single one of Kevin Robert Martin's competition wins in Big Brother 5. He was in a win or go home position multiple times and he pulled through, and he is the definition of clutch. Winning the veto during the triple eviction when he would have gone home, then winning the final 5 HOH, then winning the final 5 veto as well, then winning the final 4 veto when he was about to go home, and then winning the final HOH when he was about to go home. He goes home any time past the final 8 had he not won a competition, and he won a comp every single time. He is Clutch Martin.
Yes! Yes! That's for you, Bruno. Yes!
Congratulations, Kevin! You have won the power of veto. I need you all to...
Kevin, you're the only one who got it right. You are the new head of household. Yes! Yes!
Is Kevin!
Good job, buddy.
Good job, Kev.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Kevin, you are the final HOH of the season. Congratulations.
It's like a funeral in the house. Every time I win something, I love it. I love it.
But now, here we are. The number 1 spot may be a bit surprising to some, or maybe not, but there's some very solid reasoning behind it, so hear me out. It's the final 9 veto during Big Brother 8. Going into the competition, Dick and Danielle were on the block, and it was almost a guarantee that one of them would be going home by the end of the week. The competition had the house guests drink up to 10 shots of gross concoctions made by Big Brother, then afterwards they would go to a croquet-esque area and would hit a ball through hoops worth different amount of points to go for the highest total score. The amount of shots they took earlier would equate to how many shots you got to take during the croquet portion, allowing you to score more points. Out of the 6 house guests, only Dustin and Dick drank the maximum amount of shots, 10, which rendered them the only ones who had a real shot to win. Dustin went first and was able to score 32 points, which was actually quite good. The most points you could score during any one shot was 5, and that was only if you hit the ball perfectly straight, and it was not easy. When it was Dick's turn, he did well enough, but not great, and after 9 shots, he had 28 points, none of which were perfect. So, with 1 shot left, Dick needed to hit a perfect shot worth 5 points in order to overtake Dustin and win the competition. After carefully lining everything up, Dick took the shot and in extreme clutch fashion, he hit the ball right down the middle and landed a perfect shot, awarding Dick 5 points and the veto win. The shot alone was very clutch, but the effects of this win is why this is at the number 1 spot. In real life, Dick used the veto on Danielle, Dustin replaced Danielle on the block, and Eric was forced to evict Dustin as America's player, meaning that both Donatos made it safely out of the week. Had Dick not had that perfect shot at the end though, Dustin would have won the veto and not used it, meaning that one of Dick or Danielle would have been guaranteed to go home. In this situation, it doesn't matter which one of them is evicted because the Donatos' only win condition in the end was if they were sitting next to each other at the final 2. So one of them being evicted means that the other one can no longer win the game, and it's likely that the other one would be evicted soon after anyways. By Dick winning the veto, he was miraculously able to keep both himself and Danielle in the house that week, and from that point on, the Donatos basically won a competition every single week to secure their safety all the way up until the final 2, where they took home $550,000. So, that means that one perfect shot, that one incredibly difficult and clutch shot was literally a $550,000 shot. And that's why it lands at the number 1 spot.
This was very, very important to be able to save Danielle.
That's it, right?
And let's see who's the first to shoot. Zach with 3 shots.
All right, Zach.
Zach drank 3. Who is this clown? I drank all 10 because I really wanted to win this Power of Veto this week.
Come on, princess.
2 points.
There you go. Yeah! Good job, Dust! 5. Good job. Good job.
You have now brought your
Oh, too bad. Very nice, very nice. Excellent, excellent, very nice.
Wow, it's gonna be up to me.
Richard with 10 shots.
I wanted to win this veto for Danielle.
Getting closer every time. Ooh, pressure's on.
This is your final shot.
It came down to the last shot, and the only chance he had of winning was to hit the gold pole.
Over, bitch. Yes, princess. Are you happy?
Dick, you have won the power of veto.
I'm right.
Couldn't there been any more drama?
Dick wins power of veto. Oh, God. This guy's got control in his hands, and we know how Dick loves to have control.
Thank you, Jesus. To all of you, Jessica, thank you as well.
And there we go. Clutchness is a quality that cannot be overlooked. Without clutchness, we wouldn't have winners like Ian, Dick, Jackson, and now that I'm saying this, I realize that some people would be okay with some of those winners not being there, so that was a bad example. Regardless though, being clutch is an important factor that heavily influences the end results of any given season, so I thought it would be fun to go and look at the most clutch competition wins in the show's history. Thank you for watching, and as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
Even though this competition is timed, speed is not everything. It takes strategy and finesse in order to get everything undressed, but also keep these buttons pressed. Being slow and steady is the key to winning this thing.